So hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome to a really highly requested video. So this is going to be my part 2 of me revealing my secrets to Instagram. So if you haven't seen part 1, I go into a lot of detail about the behind the scenes of how I shoot, how I create my content, and I take you step by step through the start to finish of creating an image. So if you want to check out that video, I definitely recommend checking that one out first, because that is the part 1 in this series, and here is the second part. So today I'm going to be talking all about growing an audience, creating a beautiful Instagram, and eventually how I made the transition into full-time influencing. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of tea, and let's jump into the video. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is a question that I get asked daily. I get DMs daily from people who have the question of how do I start? And I'm not gonna lie, I really hate this question. Whenever people DM me this question, I just think it's so vague and such a silly question, because if you've DM'd me from Instagram, you've already made the first stage of starting. You have an Instagram page. So as much as I hate to say this, my top tip for starting is to just start. So create an Instagram, create a profile photo, add a bio in, and just start. Now, there is no secret to how to start. There is no secret about how to create a page. Everyone knows how to create an Instagram page. You literally just start. Now, I would also say is just add a few photos into your Instagram page so that you don't look too like spammy, if you know what I mean. So I know Instagram can get a bit funny about pages that are very like new and don't have anything on them, so just add in a few photos and we can go from there. It's definitely better to have like a few pics already on there when you get going with your Instagram. So when it comes to starting your Instagram and coming up with a brand name, I would recommend going for something that is available across the board. Now, I don't think I have Petite Ellie exactly on everything. Sometimes it's Petite Ellie _, but Petite Ellie was very unique and something that I didn't see anywhere else on Instagram, which is why I went for the name. Now, I know it's a little bit harder to do that now because obviously there are so many bloggers out there with thousands of different names, so it can be a bit difficult to come up with something unique. But relate it to your name, relate it to your niche, relate it to who you are, and it will come to you. And often people just use their real names, and that's absolutely fine. If that's something that you want to do and then you want to be known as Emma Jones, then go for it, Emma Jones. But just make sure that you can have the handle on many different pages and that it's not like a massive alteration per social platform, so that people can really easily find you. The second piece of advice I would give is to have the same profile photo in everything: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and then that way people know it is you when they come onto their page. I know that sometimes there can be like similar pages or pages that have got like a similar name, and if they know it's the same profile photo, they'll know that it's you. Now, I would also recommend really looking into hashtags when you first start posting on Instagram. Hashtags are really important in upping your reach and getting seen by a lot of people. Now, one piece of advice that I would give is do not copy and paste the same hashtags onto every single one of your photos, because you will be blocked. Now, I know that there's a lot of like talk about whether shadow banning is a thing and whether Instagram does it, and I know Instagram has outright said that it's not a thing, but quite frankly I don't believe them, because I have seen a lot of people that do not show up in hashtags at all, and it's usually because they've repetitively used the same hashtags over and over again, and I think Instagram flags that up as spam. So I would recommend really researching your niche and looking into hashtags that relate to that so that you can change it up per post. Now, I would also say with regards to hashtags is to not use the mainstream billions of people have posted on them hashtags. Do not bother with pick of the day, do not bother with Instablogger, do not bother with, what else is there? Oh, I can't even think, but there's so many where it's like Insta famous and POTD. Don't even bother, because number one, the people that are on those hashtags will not be looking for your particular niche, and the chance of them wanting to follow you is very slim. Number two, there are billions of photos on there. The chances of you actually being seen and shown at top of the page is zero. So slim. So I would recommend going for hashtags that are maybe a bit more niche and have less people posting in them. Go for something that's got maybe a few thousand posts so that it's still popular, but it's not overwhelmingly big that you won't ever get seen. That way there's much more of a chance of you being shown up high on the hashtag list, and there's much more of a chance of people finding you through those hashtags. Now, the next thing I'm going to move on to is building an audience. now, this is something I get asked on every single day, is how did you get to where you are now? So to give you a little bit of a backstory, I started my Instagram in 2013 as a distraction from my GCSEs, if you can believe that. But I found I was getting no stimulus from school and I wasn't really being creative in any way, shape or form. So I created an Instagram back in 2013 where I started basically blogging on my Instagram until I found out what a blog was. And then I think in 2014 I moved on to a blog. So I have been doing this for an awfully long time. I have been doing this since I was 15, I believe. So about 7 years now, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But it also means that that has taken me 7 years to grow an audience of about 46k, I believe I'm on at this current moment. So it's not been a quick process. Something that I always get said to, and like when people ask me on advice on how to grow, is how did you grow so quickly? And the main thing I want to stress is I did not grow quickly. I mean, it's been a very, very decent growth and I've been really, really happy with it, but it's not something that's happened overnight. I haven't hit 50k within a year and I haven't grown exponentially. So that's something really, really important to note, is that this is not a quick fix. This is not something that's going to be an overnight success and make you money within a couple of months. It will take a long time, and I think that's really, really important to stress. So when it comes to growing an audience, the first thing I will say is do not expect it to happen overnight. A steady growth and something that's really, really healthy is a slow burn, something that happens over a long period of time so that you know your audience and you know who is there in your audience. I mean, the last thing that I would want is to go viral overnight and have hundreds of thousands of people follow me for the wrong reasons, who don't know who I am, don't want to be there and don't want to engage with my content. I'd much rather have a smaller audience and a really, really good engagement rate, and that's something I'm really, really proud of, is that I have quite a high engagement rate for my following, and it means that me and my audience are really close. We know each other, they comment on my photos, they engage with me and I engage with them. So that's one thing I will just say, is do not expect this to happen overnight. It will not be a quick process. Please, please do not think that this has happened quickly. Now the next thing I will say with regards to growing an audience and how to grow is, if your priority is on how to grow your following, you've got the wrong priority and you are set to fail. Now the best advice that I can give is do not focus on grabbing in new followers. Focus on maintaining the ones you've got, whether you've got 100, 1,000, 100,000. You want to focus on keeping your family within your family and keeping your following from pressing the dreaded unfollow button. So my piece of advice with that is to engage, engage, engage. That means you reply to every single comment that comes into your page, every single DM that comes into your inbox, and you further your engagement into other people's profiles. So I do not let a single comment go unreplied to. I spend about 2 to 3 hours a day replying to all of the comments that are on my page and making sure that I've really made an effort with my audience. I like to look at every single comment that's come through as a text from a friend. If I was to text my best friend and be like, oh my god, I love that dress you're wearing, and she didn't reply, I'd be like, sorry bitch. What? Excuse me, I've literally taken the time out of my day to say how pretty you look and you don't even have time to say thank you. And if she just replied with a little, like, that's not good enough for me either. That is not holding a conversation and really showing that you are grateful for the comment that someone has left. I really, really hate the mindset that a lot of people have, is that replying to comments is uncool, or like you look cooler if you haven't replied to your comments. No. Quite frankly, who would you rather follow? Someone that's really engaging, someone that's really affectionate towards you and really appreciates your time to comment, or someone that doesn't even bother replying? I personally unfollow people if I find that I've had a lot of replies that have gone unanswered and I've commented on a lot of their photos and they haven't even bothered to say thank you. I find it really, really off-putting and really, really rude. So I would definitely say to reply to every single comment that comes through onto your page. And I also always take it one step further. I'll often spend a lot of time going onto my audience's pages and engaging with their photos themselves. I follow a lot of my audience back, mainly because we usually have like the same niches, the same interests, and their feeds I like as much as they like mine. I think it's so important to have a really, really two-way relationship with your audience. Go onto their pages, say how lovely that dress is, say how much you love their house and how cute their dog is, and really look to engage and treat them like a friend rather than just a follower. I think if you look at your audience as a community of friends rather than just a number of followers, you are going to be so much more successful in what you do. Now, the next piece of advice that I would give with regards to growing and becoming an influencer is consistency. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to post the same kind of mirror selfie every single day. It does mean is that your audience needs to know what to expect. I want to debunk the myth of niches. Now, that's one thing. I'm going on to a bit of a different topic here, but I kind of want to this kind of comes into the consistency part. Now, I know a lot of advice on the internet is to find a niche and stick to it. I don't personally think I really have a niche. I mean, I am a petite fashion blogger at the end of the day, but I also speak about so many different things. I speak about interior, I speak about travel, I speak about fashion, I speak about beauty. I don't have a limit to what I will talk about on my feed, and I think that's mainly because I see my Instagram and my community as something that I can share anything with, and they follow me for who I am rather than what I post. So even if I post something that might be deemed as a little off topic, they'll still be there because it's my content and they want to engage with what I'm doing. But with regards to consistency, what I will say is that there are some things that I do so that my audience know what to expect. For example, I post around the same time every single day. At the moment, I'm usually posting twice a day, once in the morning around between 8 and half 8, and then once in the evening between about 5 and 6. So my audience know that these are the times that they're going to be expecting posts from me and content from me, and they know to come onto my feed and that there'll probably be a new post waiting for them. So I think it's really, really important to maybe keep a rough schedule of when you post so that your audience know what to expect. Now, obviously that's not going to happen every single day, and there are some days where you just can't post at the same time, and that's perfectly fine. I think there are occasions where I've posted at very odd times and I've still found good engagement and that my audience is still happy to see the post. But I think it's really, really important to create that consistency and create a time that your audience know when to expect a post from you. Also, with regards to consistency, keep your stories consistent. Make sure that you always have a story on. I really struggle with this sometimes actually because it's only 24 hours and there are some days where I'm like really busy filming and editing and I'm on my laptop and I haven't even picked up my phone for the entire day, and there's other days where I'm literally on my phone all the time, storying, asking you guys questions, doing polls, talking to you. So I find that I can be a little bit inconsistent with that, and that's something that I'm really, really working on myself. I know some people that are so consistent with their stories, and it means that their stories get thousands and thousands and thousands of views, and brands actually contact them literally just to talk about story collaborations rather than main feed collaborations because of how successful their stories are. So it's a really, really important factor in Instagram not to ignore. You really need to invest time into your stories and growing your audience through your stories. I also think it's a really great way to create a bit more of a connection with your audience. So I personally have quite a curated feed. I like it to be really, really aesthetic and look really pretty, but I can be a bit of a ditz, and I can be a bit silly and a bit of an idiot, and that's where that comes across is on my stories. So I think sometimes if you would just look at my feed, you might not really know who I am or get a sense of my personality, but if you came onto my stories and then again onto my YouTube, you could get more of a sense of who I am as a person. So I think it's really important to use stories and use that as a way to kind of like sever the barrier between you and your audience and create a much more cohesive community rather than Instagrammer audience. The last thing that I want to talk about in terms of like becoming an influencer or anything like that, and like my advice on how to grow, is to create really good quality imagery. Now, I personally do not like iPhone imagery. It just doesn't really work for me, and I don't like how it looks. So I would definitely recommend investing into a really good quality camera. Now, if you haven't seen the first video, definitely recommend going to check it out now because I go into a much more detail about the camera that I use, but I'll just touch on it briefly here. So I use the Olympus pen, the EPL8, and I absolutely love it. I have two lenses that I use on it, the 45mm and the 17mm, and I really, really love switching between those two lenses to create the kind of content that I want to create. So I'll link it down below in the description, and if you want more information on it, check out the last video because I go into a lot more detail. Also, actually, I have done a whole behind the scenes vlog of creating content in quarantine. So if you do want to check that out, I'll link it on the screen now and also in the description box below. And you can literally see in action how I create my imagery with the specific camera that I recommend. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about is how to become a full-time influencer. Now, this is something that I think is going to vary dependent on everyone, dependent on your financial situation, dependent on who you are, dependent on your responsibilities, dependent on your journey. But all I will say is that there is no mark for when you can go full-time. I know some people that are at 10k that go full-time. I know some people that are on 100k and they're still not full-time. And it's completely dependent on you, what you love, what you want to do, and what makes you happy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey into becoming full-time and how I got there. So I was influencing and blogging and creating content whilst I was at uni for a long time, and I absolutely loved it, and I was making a little bit of a wage from it. It wasn't something that I could live off, but it was something that really helped me with my finances and helped me through uni, and I absolutely loved it. And as I was graduating, I looked at getting into an internship, but one thing is that I was really worried that if I went into a full-time job, I would lose the momentum and I would lose out on the growth that I was seeing. So I requested in the internship that I joined if I could do 4 days a week instead of going full-time, which they let me do initially, but after 4 months at the internship I was let go. And to be fair, when they let me go, they were really lovely about it. And the thing that my boss said to me is, you are not designed to work in an office. I think you should do this full-time. And he really gave me a push to go full-time. But at the time, I was living up in the Midlands. I'd gone to university in Derby, and me and my partner had kind of like created a life for ourselves in Derby. So we had a bit of a chat, and I basically said to him, I need to be in London if I want to do this full time. And he's a country boy, he never wanted to be in London, so he was like, no way, not moving to London. So we found a lovely flat on the outskirts, he found a new job, and I officially went full time. So that journey has taken me from starting 7 years ago to now. It has not been a quick journey in the slightest, but I have gotten to the stage where I can be full-time. So if I talk about like the streams of income that come from being a full-time influencer, it might help you out in knowing where you are in terms of like if you can go full-time, if you can be close, and what to aim towards. So brand collaborations. Now this is the most obvious one and the biggest source of income for 90% of the influencers that I know. So this is when a brand approaches you and says, we want to work with you on this campaign to promote this product and talk about this scenario, and you will go back and forth and eventually come to an agreement on fee, on budgeting, and on the content that they expect you to deliver. Now, one thing that I really want to stress that I think people don't realise often is that I turn down about 80% of offers that come into my inbox, and I am so selective with the brands that I work with. Now, I have an amazing relationship with my audience. I absolutely love the relationship I've got with them. They trust me, I trust them. It's very two-way. And a big thing that I always think to myself, and a quote that has always stuck with me, is you can never buy back integrity. And if I start promoting things on my feed that I don't believe in, wouldn't spend my own money on, and are clearly just there as a money grab, my audience would be gone in a second, and I wouldn't blame them. So I only ever promote things that I really love, have spent my own money on, and use myself without being paid to talk about it. So that's why a lot of people say to me that like my ads fit quite well into my organic content. Like I had someone message me a little while ago and said, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but I can't tell what's an ad and what's not, which I think is such a compliment. Like I really hate the trend that's going on at the moment where people put ad break before they do a paid collaboration, and personally I don't think that that should be there, because I think if it is an advert that fits into your content, you shouldn't have to break for it, and you shouldn't have to like warn people this is an ad break as if you're in like a TV show. For me it just flows into my organic content naturally, and that's the kind of way that I like to work personally. I mean obviously it's different for everyone, and I'm not slagging anyone else, I'm just saying for me I would never do it as like an ad break, because every single ad that I work on flows into my natural and organic content. So that's the biggest way to earn money. Another way is by affiliate links. Now, if you don't know what affiliate links are, basically every time you shop something through an influencer or through a blogger or content creator, they will most likely have used affiliate links. This means that they earn a really small commission on your purchase. It does not affect your purchase in any way, shape or form, and all it does is basically say thank you to the influencer for showing you the bra or the top or the dress or the camera that they have shown you, and you can thank them by shopping through their affiliate link. Now I really hate it when people actively don't use affiliate links, mainly because there is no difference to your shopping if you use it or not. And it's literally, if you don't use it, if you've been influenced to buy something from someone, it's no different to you, and all it is a nice thank you to them. I mean, it's literally the difference of you shopping at Debenhams. Every Debenhams employee earns commission, or you shopping at John Lewis. John Lewis employees don't earn commission. It would be like you going to Debenhams, finding a dress you really love, actively leaving Debenhams and going into John Lewis to buy the dress just to make sure the sales employee doesn't get your commission, which I think is just like, I don't get why people don't do it, and I don't get why people get funny about it, especially because it literally doesn't affect your purchase in any way, shape or form. It also is really helpful for the influencer because it means that they know the kind of content that their audience likes. So I know my audience love H&M, and you guys, whenever I post anything H&M, which actually this is a H&M dress here, my affiliate links go mental because I know that you guys really, really like that content. So it's also just a way to help the influencer know how to target their audience and how to create content that they know their audience is going to like. So that's another way that influencers earn money. Again, it's very, very small. I think like 90% of commission rates are less than 10%, so it's literally pennies, but it's something as a way of saying thank you. The third thing I want to talk about as a source of income for influencers is by creating your own product. So whether that's an ebook, a physical book, an online product, a downloadable link, and I personally have my own presets that I sell. So I speak about this in the last video as well, so I won't go into too much detail about them, but I sell basically my edit to my photos. I sell them at a very, very reduced price compared to some bloggers. Like some presets that people sell, I just think are absolutely extortionate, and it's just not like, I just would never spend that money on an edit. So I have mine very, very affordably up for you, and I find them very, very simple to use. I like to have them as like simple as possible so that you need to make as little an edit as possible to them. So if you want to check more out about my presets, then they're linked in the description. Again, it's a very small income, and it's just a bit of pocket money that comes in, but it is something that adds to your overall income. The last thing I want to talk about is AdSense, and now this is mainly for YouTube, or if you have a blog, you can use Google AdSense, which is basically showing ads on your videos. These ads are not chosen by the YouTuber or chosen by the blogger themselves. They are targeted at you based on your cookies and your habits and basically anything. So like if you're on Topshop, then Topshop's ads that will come up for you. If you're on Facebook, it will be Topshop. Does that make sense? So it's based on your shopping habits, and the influencer has no say over the ads that are shown. Again, it's tiny what you earn from that. I think it's something like £2.30 per 1,000 views at the moment on YouTube, and I don't really know what it is for blogs, but it is again absolute pennies, and it only happens if people don't skip the ads as well, which is something I never realized until I became an influencer myself. If you skip the ads, the YouTuber doesn't make any money on them, so you've got to watch them all the way through if you want to like support the influencer and make sure that they earn like a bit of dollar. But yeah, those I would say are like the main sources of income into a influencer's pocket, and how they earn their money and create the content for you. Now one thing as well I wanted to talk about is people sometimes get really funny about influencers earning money and about like people that say that this is my full-time job, and I never understand that, because 99.9% of the content that you're being given is completely free, and some people's content that is out there is honestly magazine level, and you don't have to pay any kind of subscription, any kind of fee for them to be creating that content. They are doing it off of their own back. You aren't paying for it, the brands pay for it if they're doing a sponsored post, but other than that it's completely free. So the kind of content that you get off influencers, it's really, really important that you support them in any way, shape or form that you can, to make sure that they can still create this high quality content for you, and make sure that they can still be there to create this content and entertain you and create videos and take photos and all of that jazz. So I think that is absolutely everything in today's video that I wanted to talk about. I know it's a little bit shorter than the last one, but that was because part one I think was like the bulky mama video. So this is just the part 2 onto my Instagram secrets and a few extra things that I wanted to talk about. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will be answering every single question in the comment section. If you have anything else that you think I missed, please let me know and I will answer them down below. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to subscribe if you want to see my face more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!